Hello and welcome to the Wednesday, December 18th, 2024 edition of the SANS and its Storm Center's Stormcast. My name is Johannes Ulrich and today I'm recording from Washington, D.C. Today we got an interesting Python script from Xavier. This particular Python script not only installs Anydesk, but also checks if Anydesk is already installed and in that case just adjusts the configuration. Anydesk is, of course, a legitimate remote management tool, and quite often attackers prefer, of course, to use tools that are used in normal business purposes, so that way they're less likely going to get flagged. Even better if the victim already installed the tool for them and therefore won't notice it as something new that was installed by the malware. It's no surprise that the modified configuration does permit the attacker to access the system. It also adds the ability to access the system while it's not attended, which is not a default configuration. The configuration then and additional information about the system is exfiltrated to inform the attacker of the new victim. And well, Anydesk appears to be the tool du jour for attackers. There's also a story from Trend Micro related to Anydesk. What's actually really interesting here is the social engineering being done in order to convince the victim to install the malicious software. In this case, the attacker first flooded the victim with several thousand spam emails. Then they contacted the victim claiming to be associated with a supplier to the victim's company, using the spam emails that the victim just received as a pretense in order to then offer tech support. And that is how they got them to install Anydesk, which provided the attacker with remote access, and then additional malware was installed on the system. Trend Micro assumes that this particular attacker was associated with DarkGate malware family that also likes to use the tool AutoIT in order to facilitate the installation of its malicious software. Probably a good trick to include in any security awareness presentations to inform your users to be more careful if they're experiencing a copycat attack. And attacks against weaknesses in the SS7 protocol may be more common than is commonly assumed. Based on a letter the Department of Defense wrote to Senator Wyden, 404 Media wrote up an article where they describe some of the attacks that apparently originated from a number of different countries. Your usual suspects like, for example, Iran, Russia, and China, but also Israel. The problem with SS7 is it's essentially the protocol that manages a routing between phone companies. Like many similar protocols, this protocol is very much trust-based. So if you are connecting to a cell phone tower in a foreign country, that cell phone tower is able to notify your home phone company that you are now connected to that tower and messages will be forwarded to that tower, which of course allows anybody with access to this tower to intercept these messages, in particular SMS. So it's absolutely no surprise that nation-state actors do have access to the SS7 infrastructure and are able to essentially spoof these messages, redirecting SMS messages and phone calls at will. Following recent revelations about breaches at various telecom providers, yet another reason to not rely on unencrypted means of communication. And if you're using CrushFTP, time to update a file transfer software appears to be sort of a hot topic this year. Well, this is the latest example. This actually is a little bit interesting vulnerability where an attacker can essentially add log to then trigger a cross-site scripting vulnerability in the admin interface. Looks a little bit tricky to exploit. You have to get the administrator to look at the logs if I understand the vulnerability correctly. Other than that, well, update and get this vulnerability patched before it's being used for an exploit. And the problem here is not really just the cross-site scripting, but that it would essentially allow access to the admin account via the right cross-site scripting payload. Well, that's it for today. So thanks for listening and talk to you again tomorrow. Bye.